This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritschner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritschner. This is a daily college basketball show during the season and a weekly show in the offseason that covers everything you need to know about your favorite team here in the Cincinnati area, or if you're not a fan of a team here in the Cincinnati area, we do plenty at the national level as well. So stay tuned here to the Rebound Rundown. Make sure you follow us on social media at Rebound Rundown. You subscribe wherever you're listening to this right now, any major podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, the rest. Maybe you're watching this show on YouTube. Go down there, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the Rundown on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this on TV. Check us out on YouTube or any major podcast platform. This is the first episode of the Rundown as part of the Crown Network. It is great to be part of this very fast-growing network. First shows were earlier this week. First Word from 7 to 11 in the morning with James Rapine, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. It can be viewed on RESN, that's over the air 19.3, Alta Fiber 253, or if you live in Ohio, Spectrum 999. It's available on YouTube as well. Maybe you want to watch the hour-long business show from 12 to 1. That's the Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Nat Jones for Nat Tries That. That's available on YouTube as well. All part of the Crown Network. The studios, you've seen a couple of the previous episodes of the Rundown the last few weeks. A couple, I think, of those overtime shows and the one with Keegan Nickerson and Rick Broering. Those were broadcasted out of the Crown Network studios downtown as well in Over the Rhine, and really excited for everything that we're going to be bringing you here as we get into football season, everything else. The First Word crew is going to have you covered. So make sure you check that out, First Word on YouTube, or if you're watching it live every day on TV, wherever you get your podcast there as well. All part of the Crown Network. Today's show, after I get through the headlines here, a lot to talk about with headlines, with scheduling, and so some portal news, recruiting, major news out of Lexington. I'll get to that in just a second. But Tre Carroll joined me for an interview. That'll be the back half of today's show. Really good to catch up with Tre. Obviously had a phenomenal season for Xavier this year. First team All Big East. Now he's exploring his professional opportunities, going through some workouts, trying to see what he's going to be able to do with his basketball career after college. We'll get into all that and more with Tre Carroll in just a few minutes, but a lot to get to here to start the show. And let's get into some headlines. And we'll start with what's effectively the beginning of the college basketball season. As I record this, it's June 2nd. Teams are beginning their on-court workouts, at least local teams, beginning those workouts today. Xavier and Northern Kentucky both getting on the court today. Dayton, Wright State, and Cincinnati, they will all start on June 8th. That is next Monday as I record this. And then Miami, their first on-court workout will be June 24th. Miami goes back later. They start later here in June because their school, they go into May. So they'll take their workouts into August, whereas most other teams will go through their 8-week programs in June and July and then give their players some time off before school starts in August. Miami, they'll take a shorter break in August because they got their longer break on the front end here, May into June. So Miami goes back on the 24th, but everybody else here locally, especially Xavier, Northern Kentucky, Dayton, Wright State, Cincinnati, they're all going to get started here within the next week. Xavier wrapped up their first practice earlier today, the first summer workout. Teams are allowed 8 hours of workouts. Those rules changed. It used to be 4 hours of on-court workouts and then other hours for lifting, things like that throughout the week. Now you have 8 hours to distribute throughout your week, however you want to do it, whether that's lifting, on-court workouts, however you want to distribute your 8 weeks. You can go ahead and you can do that however you feel best as a coaching staff. I got a question on Twitter earlier about how do you adjudicate that? How do you hold yourself accountable? Is that an honor roll system? Well, the coaches have to fill out a log, the players have to attest to that log, and then every once in a while, a compliance director from the schools will probably drop into practice, just make sure that the teams are practicing at the right time when they're supposed to be, that kind of thing. But that is how you assess the 8 hours of practice throughout the week. But that's the schedule right now. So exciting times here. It is a marathon of a season. When you think about this, the fact that it's June 2nd and you're already getting going for next season already. There's a lot of time here in the off season, a lot of time when you're going to be playing each other. And then obviously you're going to get ready here in the preseason in September and October when the real practices start. There's a lot of lead up time to opening night now, as opposed to the old days where players went home for the summer, then they came back when school started. Maybe they were doing individual workouts or whatever it might have been. Now everybody here on campus, some of these schools, they're reporting this week, they're getting going, whatever it might be, but on-court workouts getting going here within the next week. The headline news that I mentioned out of Lexington is that Milan Momcilovic, the best shooter in the sport, he pulled his name out of the NBA draft and he is going to Kentucky. The NIL rumor mill was that he got around $6.5 million. He chose Kentucky over Louisville and Arizona. St. John's had been in the mix for a little bit, but when they got Tunde Yesufu, Momcilovic was not going to go to St. John's. So a huge recruiting win for Mark Pope. For all the flack that Mark Pope has caught this offseason, he has ended up putting together what I believe will be a top 20 team this upcoming season. He posted a picture after Momcilovic committed to Kentucky. Mark Pope posted a picture. He's sitting on the beach on vacation, and he's got 2 playing cards in his hand, and Many Men is playing as the song in the background on Instagram. If you back up this season with a successful season, if you back that picture up with a successful season, that'll be a fun picture to look back on, back when Milan Momcilovic commits to Kentucky. The highest sought after recruit in the portal, pretty much widely regarded as the best shooter in the sport. Shot almost 50% from 3 this past season. And Kentucky is the only school in the country to land 3 transfers rated 95 or higher in Momcilovic, Alex Wilkins, and Zoom Diallo. Kyle Tucker of 24/7 Sports, he pointed out that Kentucky landed the number 1 power forward in Momcilovic, the number 7 point guard in Zoom Diallo, the number 7 combo guard in Alex Wilkins, and the number 19 center in Frank Kepnong. You're looking at a starting lineup right now at Kentucky of Zoom Diallo, Alex Wilkins, Cam Williams, Milan Momcilovic, and then Malachi Moreno, who came back to school. That is a pretty high-level team, given what we were talking about with Kentucky about a month ago, when everybody had written off the Wildcats, and it looked like things were getting really desperate. There were some moments of desolation, I'm sure, in Lexington. They had missed on pretty much every recruit that they wanted. But in the end, I think the roster has come together decently well for Kentucky. Do I think this is a team that will win a national championship next year? No, I don't. I don't think this is a team that should have Final Four or national championship caliber expectations going into next season. But given where we were about a month and a half ago, where you're talking about a team that might finish in the back half of the SEC, now you're at least talking about a team that will compete in the SEC, and I think will be a top 25. I'd put them in the top 20 going into next season. So those are my thoughts on Kentucky. A huge recruiting win, though, overall for Mark Pope, for that program. Vibes going very well right now in Lexington compared to, like I said, where they were a little bit ago. The other thing that I want to get to here includes some scheduling headlines, and there's some scheduling news from all over the area. The date of the Crosstown Shootout is set. It'll be Saturday, December 5th. It'll be at Fifth Third Arena this year, the first Crosstown Shootout for Jared Calhoun as a head coach. It'll be a home game for Jared Calhoun and the Bearcats. That's also College Football Conference Championship Saturday, so it'll be a busy day of sports. Cincinnati SantaCon, it's the next Saturday, the 12th. I don't know why. It always feels like SantaCon. Not that I ever did SantaCon, but it always feels like SantaCon is on the same day as the Crosstown Shootout. Not this year. It's the next week. I know that's the top priority of everyone listening to this. When is SantaCon? It's not conflicting. If you're a SantaCon follower, you don't have to worry about the Crosstown Shootout this year, and vice versa. Big news for Dayton. Cincinnati will visit Dayton on November 14th. They have played Cincinnati the last 3 seasons in Cincinnati. 2 of those were downtown at Heritage Bank. And then last season was at 5th, 3rd. But the Bearcats will finally make the trip up I-75 to play at UD Arena. That's on November 14th. And then some news that got announced earlier today. On December 12th, Chris Mack in South Florida, Chris Mack in his first year down there with the Bulls, they will visit the Flyers in the first year of a home-and-home. UD will go to South Florida the following season in 27-28. So Chris Mack played at NKU last year when he was the head coach of Charleston. Now he'll play at Dayton as the head coach at USF. Sticking with Dayton and the Flyers, they'll be playing 2 games in the Charleston Classic on November 19th and 20th. The Charleston Classic's field Dayton, Virginia Tech, Utah, Minnesota, and Oklahoma State. Those are the teams that are in it right now. So they'll have to add 3 more teams, and then they'll split into the 2 brackets. But Dayton will go down to the Charleston Classic, pretty much widely regarded as one of the best MTE events. You saw Xavier in it last year. Xavier's actually been in it a couple of times in the last 6 seasons. They were in it in the season that ended in 2020 or 2019 going into 2020, the season that ended in COVID. Xavier was in the Charleston Classic, obviously went back last year. Dayton will be down there this year. It is an incredible event. Charleston's an awesome city. So Dayton will go down to the Charleston Classic. As far as MTEs go, it was reported that Cincinnati will be playing in the ESPN Events Invitational in Orlando for their Feast Week MTE. It'll be 2 games in a 4-team bracket. The other 3 teams are Boston College. They're under first-year head coach Luke Murray. Then Georgia and fellow Big 12 member UCF. That's a very winnable field for Cincinnati, in my opinion. Big opportunity to go 2-0 early in the Jared Calhoun era. And then Xavier, their scheduling news, they have added Eastern Michigan on November 6th, Cleveland State on November 17th, and Purdue Fort Wayne on December 9th. Those are their bye games. And they have more to add, but those are all bye games. The date of the Iowa game at Cintas is set for November 20th. And then you heard me talk on a previous rundown about Xavier's MTE situation. It's still not settled yet as of this recording. For a while, we had been hearing behind the scenes that Xavier was going to go down to the battle for Atlantis. Then it got reported that they were going to Atlantis. It became public. Then it was quickly put out that that was not finalized yet, that Xavier wouldn't be going to Atlantis. And now Atlantis is one of several MTEs that are back on the table for Xavier to go and potentially be a member, whether it's at Atlantis, somewhere else, trying to find a field, trying to find somewhere for Xavier to play in a 2-game MTE. That would be the trend for Xavier right now, is try and find that. And then one other game on the Pitino show, Richard Pitino mentioned that he wanted to find one more high major game. So you'd have 5 high majors. You would have the home game against Iowa, you'd have the road game at UC, you would have the 2 MTE games, and then you would have the 1 high major game TBD. Maybe they play a neutral game. Maybe they try and find another home and home with somebody, all things that they still have yet to be decided, and then they'd fill in the rest with some bye games. So that is the scheduling update for you. Those are the headlines here on the Rebound Rundown as we get going here on this episode of the show. Make sure you stay tuned, because right now, here is Tre Carroll, All Big East first teamer for Xavier this year, now pursuing a professional basketball career. He's in the middle of his workouts for NBA teams right now, trying to make his way onto an NBA roster this summer. Here is Tre Carroll. Joined now by Tre Carroll. Tre, it's great to see a former Xavier player. It's kind of weird to say former. You were here this year and had a phenomenal season for the Musketeers, and now looking to get your shot at the pros. You've gone through 3 NBA workouts so far that we were just talking about, and you were telling me before we came on the air that you have 4 more still left to go, and maybe some more that'll pop up here and there, hopefully more for you as you get your shot at the pros here upcoming. You're out in Las Vegas right now, Tre. So before we really get started here, just take the people through what these last couple months have been like for you since your Xavier career ended and what things look like for you right now.
Yeah, very hectic. You know, I got like 1 week off. That was like my whole off season. I went back to Florida right after the season just to, wind down, hang out with my wife, see some of my friends back in Boca Raton. And then I flew back to Xavier, got right back to work because I had the All-Star game. I had Portsmouth. And then, I just had to, gain some weight because, being 235 in college it's pretty good for, someone of my caliber, but, for the pros, I have to be in like the 240, 245 range. So definitely just trying to, get my body right, developing more, getting my 3-point shot more consistent. Um, it's been hectic, especially with the moving from Cincinnati to Vegas. Just because I didn't fly down here. Me and my wife drove down here all the way for 27 hours. We drove all the way from Cincy to here to Vegas, and it's a nonstop grind for me. I'm in the gym from like 8 to or like from 9 to like 3 p.m. every day. Truly grinding out here, trying to get my name drafted, called, or just sign with the team because I know what it takes to play in the NBA. It's just a matter of getting an opportunity, and people have seen time and time again when I've given an opportunity, I make the most of it every single time.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And so you've worked out so far for Charlotte, Sacramento, and Toronto, right? Those
Yes,
are the
sir.
3 you've done. So
Yep.
Charlotte, Sacramento, Toronto. Take us through what a workout looks like, right? You post your jersey, you post the practice jersey, you say another one, and you have the opportunity to go work out in front of those teams. But, what does that workout look like? What do these teams want to see out of you?
So basically, like a day, just going to a workout. Leaving the hotel probably between 7 and 7:45 in the morning. Get into the arena, eating breakfast, and then you get measurements, you get testing. You go through the whole combine testing, and I feel like I was very disrespected not getting any combine invite. I felt like I was the only first team Big East guy to not get a combine invite, which I thought was crazy. Just add more fuel to the fire. Does that okay? Like I didn't need a reason, but you just gave me another reason to prove who I am. So I was like, all right, bet. So I have to go through combine testing every workout that I go to because I didn't have the numbers at the combine, so I had to do it every single time, and I just had to keep my body in like peak physical shape to get improve my numbers each workout. So you go through the combine testing, and then you go through like another warm up, and then each team is a little bit different in how they do their workouts. With Charlotte, you did a lot more drills at the start, and then playing at Toronto, it was mostly just playing. Like you shot, like you're shooting and then you're playing. At the Kings, kind of like Charlotte, but it was less drills and a lot more playing. You're playing out of like concepts. You're playing with dribble limits. 10-second shot clock, 5-second shot clock. It's all these things. So every team is different, but it's mostly just they want to see like who you are as a person. They want to see like are you really a dog? Like even if you're not making shots, like they just want to see like the type of person you are, type of player you are. Like are you what the film says you are? And they just want to be either proved right or proved wrong.
So are you doing anything off the court too? Like, are they interviewing you from a personality side to try and get to know you better? Or is this strictly just, hey, let's go out there, let's ball, and then let's see what you got afterwards?
Yeah, some teams do the interviews before or after the workout. I know for Charlotte, I did an interview before. Toronto, I didn't do an interview because it was so last minute. I got Toronto like literally the day before the workout. I got called and I was like, "Hey, you're going to Toronto." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I did a Kings interview after the workout. So, like I said, each team is different. Sometimes doing an interview, sometimes you're not. It just depends on the team's point of view.
So you have 4 right now, and maybe some more, right? Things could always pop up. You never know. Day before you get a call, you got to go to Toronto, whatever it might be. What have you learned from the first 3 that you've done that you're kind of looking to take into these next ones and some of that experience?
Yeah, so like just having this, getting a feel for it, definitely just getting more comfortable, you're not really knowing what to expect, in those first 3. But now it's like, okay, I just got to play my game. I just got to show who I am as a person. I have a great motor. I can talk on defense. I can guard the ball one-on-one. I can get to my spots. I have to be an NBA ready player because I'm 23. I'm going to be an older rookie, which is a lot of these teams they don't like. They see more negatives than positives because I'm a late bloomer. But I feel like that kind of gives me an edge to play harder, to play more physical, to prove that I'm ready now, rather than someone who's like 19. They're like kind of have to catch up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just a long process, but it's a fun process. I'm trying to improve myself each and every day, like I've been doing for my entire college career. Now it's just I'm doing it at a pro level now. And I have a lot to play for. Like, I don't think a lot of these people have the type of motivation I have. I have to play this game because I have a wife that fully, needs me to do what I have to do. So I have, people depending on me to put the ball in the hoop and do my job. Because if I don't do my job, I'm not gonna make money. I need money.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. So you're wearing your Xavier shirt right now. If you're listening on audio right now, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, whatever, you can watch this on YouTube. I see you wearing that Xavier shirt. And, to take it back a second to this season at Xavier, what were some of the conversations like, especially as the season was coming down the stretch and you knew that you wanted to pursue these professional goals of yours? That, did you have a conversation with Richard or anybody else on the coaching staff about, hey, here's what I've done, here's what I've accomplished, I'm really proud of what I've done at Xavier, and how best can I position myself now going forward for the rest of my career?
Honestly, that those conversations never came up because I was strictly focused on the season. I'm not the type of person to fully look ahead in the future. I'm more of a person that's locked in on the here and now. Even though the season wasn't what we wanted, I feel like it's one of the best seasons I've ever been a part of in college basketball because, the Cintas Center, the Xavier fans, the Xavier Twitter, I cherish all of that. Like that's literally everything I strive for. I love playing in crowded arenas. I love playing in arenas that the fans are so loyal, no matter the record, no matter the team. They're just so loyal because they strictly love the team. They love the university. They hate Cincinnati like I do, and they just have so much love for the school. And I literally cherish Xavier with all my heart. Like, Xavier is a big reason why I'm in this where I'm at now today. Like, I have a shot at the pros because of Xavier. Like, if it wasn't for Xavier, I wouldn't be where I am. So, like, I have so much love for the community, for the fans, for the school, and for Coach P, because he brought me in, told me what I needed to do, and was like, all right, like, let's get to work. And I did what I needed to do individually. I wish we could have done more as a team because there was so much potential. I feel like that we could have done more. We could have been way better if we just tweaked some things out, and ultimately we just didn't. But Xavier forever has my heart, man. Like, I truly hope Xavier wins the national championship with Coach P because I love everything about Xavier. Xavier is by far the best experience, one of the best experience I've had as a college athlete, and I wish them nothing but the best. I'm definitely going to come back for some games, a lot of games, because that's like my third home, honestly. Like, it's home over there. Like, I know I'm always welcome over there, and I just love the Cintas Center and Xavier so much. Like, y'all don't understand.
Well, I think a lot of people listening to this or watching this, share the same feeling toward you and the memories that you gave them from this season. Again, it was a tough season for Xavier this year, but you think back to the Crosstown Shootout. That was obviously a place where you made your mark. There were several games this year where you stood out. There's a reason you were on the All Big East first team. But, you mentioned how much Xavier meant to you after this season, how much it means to you now. Tre, I was there the day you visited, and I remember you walking into Cintas for the first time and seeing the arena. I was just there for whatever reason, and we kind of crossed paths, and I remember talking to you, and I had done one of your games that season at Florida Atlantic, and I had remembered watching you play, and we kind of caught up about your season, and I saw this kind of light in your eyes when you saw everything. It was this immediate moment where you could tell you really wanted to be at Xavier. You committed pretty much on the spot. Yeah. You committed on the spot. And you were the anchor of that portal class last year. So what stood out to you right away that made you realize, Tre, this is where I want to be, and this is why I want to be there?
Well, I think it was actually before I even touched foot on campus. I think it was the fact that when I entered the portal, Xavier was the first school to call me. And Xavier was they were the ones always calling me, texting me. I did my first Zoom call with them. Coach P and Coach
it was Katsuma at the time, I think.
Yeah, Coach Aaron, Coach Katsuma. He was on me nonstop. They were texting me. Coach P was always texting me, and then Coach Jackson started texting me a whole lot. So, like,
because Aaron was only there like a week. He got you, and then he was off to Minnesota.
Yeah, but they were showing me so much love, and then they were telling me who they wanted me to be. and they were trying to get me to come visit. I was like, no other schools asked me to come visit yet. And they asked me to come visit on day 2. And I was like, all right, they're serious about me. They're very serious. And I told them, and my agents told them, they're like, if you want Tre, you need to meet his family, because I'm a big family man. You need to meet his wife, you need to meet his mom, you need to meet his grandpa, grandma, you need to meet them. And you need to, treat them good. And they brought my whole family with me on the visit, which meant a lot to me. I wanted them to experience, because I'm from little old Port Charlotte, Florida, where we don't have big arenas or anything like that. Like our closest professional team is an hour and a half away, and that's a pretty far drive for most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I got to Xavier and I see like the campus, the arena, my eyes lit up, because this is like the first time in my life where I'm experiencing like I can play in front of sold out crowds that are like tens of thousands of people like each night. And it was surreal to me. And I was seeing like all the resources they had and like the nutrition plans and like the treatments. And I was like, dude, this is unbelievable. And then I seen Coach Matt, the weightlifting coach, I seen his plan for me. And then Coach P, he showed me an analytical board of what I need to improve at and what he wants me to do, where I need to be. And I think I did everything that he needed me to do from an individual standpoint. And I could tell how serious they were about me, and I could tell like how badly they wanted me and needed me. And I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. And like even the fans were like telling me, Tre, Aquaman, come to Xavier, man. We're gonna treat you right. And I was like, hey, they ain't lied. So I was like, it definitely felt like, and I'm a big believer in Jesus, and I felt like God put it on my heart to be like, you need to go play at Xavier.
Well, you look at what you were able to accomplish this year, and you talk about coming up short as far as a team goes. There was more that you wanted to accomplish this year, no doubt. It wasn't a great season record-wise, but going into it, it's the first year under Richard Pitino. He gets a little bit of a late start in the portal because he gets hired, and you're trying to cobble together whatever you can as a coaching staff to put out on the court. And so I think fans had a pretty realistic expectation of what this season was going to be going into it, that, there might be some bumps in the road, but that there's going to be a plan going forward. And I think, if you talk to Xavier fans now, a lot of the sentiment about the year was that, you and the rest of the guys had some memorable moments this year, and you could see the vision of what the coaching staff is trying to do going forward under Richard Pitino in this program. So let me ask you this, Tre, what kind of a coach from your perspective is Richard Pitino for this program going forward? What did you enjoy about playing for him the most?
I think the most important thing, this is very important if you want to play for a coach that's serious. I think he's going to keep it real 100% of the time. It doesn't matter who's the highest paid guy. It doesn't matter who averages the most. If you're not doing what you need to do, you will not see the court. And he keeps it as real as that. He will cuss you out. He'll tell you you're being lazy. He'll call you a bunch of things that I can't say on here. Like he's not afraid to, belittle you, but then bring you back up. Like he'll belittle you and then he'll bring you right back up. Like he'll be like, you need to stop. I remember this play. Like it was yesterday. I messed up a coverage with Jovan. He was hedging and I said switch, which wasn't the right thing. And he chewed me out. He's like, are you confused? What are you doing? Are you confused? Like, what are we doing? That's the PG version, by the way. Like, because he called a timeout right after he hit a three. And then
so this was in a game, not in practice.
Yo, this was in a game. This is in a game. And then he's looking at me on the bench. He's looking at me. He's like, all right, where do you want on the block so you can go score and show him who's boss? I was like, oh, well, just put it right here, coach. I'll go score on him. And very next play, I scored on him. So, like, but he's a coach that, he wants what's best for you. He also wants what's best for the team. He's going to put you in situations where you're going to shine the best, but it's his team. You need to know it's his team. And like, he has a family and he has a job that he needs to, he needs to win. And obviously this first year, you're not going to be like, okay, it's the first year. Like, I promise you, he's the type of coach, like, he's never going to have a losing season ever again at Xavier. Like, I know I sound bold for saying that, but he's never going to lose again at Xavier. I'm not going to be surprised if they finish if they finish top 3 this year because of how his mind works. Because like he loses sleep over losing. He loses sleep when we don't beat a team by 20 that we should have beat by 30. Like you can ask him. He loses sleep about this kind of stuff. And like,
well, especially in today's day and age, where if you are supposed to beat a team by 30 and you don't, your analytics drop. I mean, that hurts everything the rest of the year.
And I'll tell you this too: when we got beat by Creighton by 41 on our home court, he took away our jerseys. We were supposed to wear black at Georgetown. He said, "No, they don't deserve to have their alternate jerseys. Make them wear blue."
Won that game.
And we won that game.
Yeah.
He didn't give us our jerseys back until like 5 games or like a couple games later, because that's just who he is. But he's a coach that will love you. He wants what's best for you, but you better put your work in, or else you're not going to see the court.
Yeah, you were asking me right before we started what the team looked like, and we're recording this on June 2nd. They just finished up their first on-court workouts a few hours ago. I obviously haven't had a chance to see them yet. There's an event on Friday night that I will be there for to see the team for the first time. They'll get up and down, have the opportunity to kind of, do some full court, on-court workouts, full team workouts, I should say. So I haven't seen the team. They're just coming together. It's just the start of this whole project for next season. But there's a lot of excitement and optimism around Xavier right now because of the money they were able to spend in the transfer portal to get some of these guys out of the portal that were real stars on their teams last year. You look at Mike Nwoko, comes over from LSU, starting center there. Ruben Dominguez, another SEC starter out of Texas A&M. But Mike Nwoko is somebody that I want to ask you about, Trey, through the lens of Jovan Milicevic, because this year Jovan had to play the 5 a lot just because of how the lineups worked out.
Yeah.
It was a mismatch offensively. Nwoko coming in and playing the 5 allows Jovan to play more of his true position at the 4. You practiced, you played with Jovan all year. Obviously know him very well and his game very well. What do you think him moving to that spot will do for this offense and this team?
Player of the year. That's simple. Player of the year. I think that's like my little brother. I took him under my wing this year, and the jump he made from his freshman year to his sophomore year was something I've not really seen. It's something rare you don't really see in basketball players. Like it usually takes years to get to where he was in his second year. But I was telling him, you get your body right, you eat right, Coach Matt gets you right, you're going to be player of the year. His skill level is very good, especially for him playing out of his position and averaging what he averaged and, being the player he was out of his position. Imagine him at his position. Imagine him being, because he's a mismatch at his position, and you put him out of position, he's still a mismatch. That's very dangerous waters. You know what I mean? So I view Jovan as a player of the year type of guy. I feel like Coach P has his main guy being with Jovan and Gabe and him building around them two. I feel like if Xavier finishes top 3, Jovan's going to be player of the year. I have him averaging 28 and 3 on 50, 40, and 75 shooting splits. Honestly,
that'll get it done. If that happens, that'll get it done.
Because let me tell you, he's a very special player. He might not be the most athletic guy, but he's so crafty in the way he moves, the way he gets to his spots. You have to respect him as a shooter, because if you don't, he's just gonna shoot it. He's gonna make 3 in a row. We've seen it time and time again. He'll go make 4 threes in a row, and then the person will step up and he'll go to the basket. So he's a miss, and he's 6'10", moves like a guard. You don't really you see it, but you don't see it that like over and over and over and over again. He's so comfortable with the way he moves. So I feel like, especially since this is his 3rd year with Coach P, he knows the system already, and Coach P knows what Jovan is capable of. And I know what Jovan is capable of because I've seen it and I played with him time and time again. He earned a starting position, even though he was out of his position, kind of like I was last year at FAU. I was out of position, but I still had a great year my last year at FAU, and same thing for him. But he has 2 more years left. And I don't see him leaving as long as he does what he needs to do. And with the type of person Jovan is, he's going to do what he needs to do. He's going to get in the weight room, get stronger. He's going to get more athletic. He's going to lean out so that he can play 35 minutes like I did this year. He's gonna do these things. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying all this, but he's gonna do it. Me and him, I've been in his ear constantly. You have player of the year capabilities. Prove me right. And I know the media doesn't want to respect Xavier. All right, watch. Because I fully believe in Coach P. I fully believe in Jovan. I believe Jovan's going to be player of the year this year. I call it clean. I feel like there's not going to be anybody that can guard Jovan this year.
Well, I think to your point, you look at a guy like Chance Westry, who's going to be the point guard on this upcoming year's team, and you look at True Washington, who's already played for Richard at New Mexico, so he's obviously familiar with the system. Very good two-way player. He gets a lot of credit for his defense, but he's a double-figure scorer offensively as well. So this is a very talented roster that I think, to your point, if everything goes right for Xavier this year, I think they very much should finish in the top half of the Big East, get a bye at Madison Square Garden, not play on Wednesday night. And I think top 3 is a realistic goal for what this team can be. Obviously, St. John's and UConn are very talented at the top. Providence spent a ton of money. Creighton's reloading under first-year head coach Alan Huss. Marquette went to the portal. I mean, the Big East really, I think, took a step forward this year and recognized the advantage that they have in, under the House settlement and NIL and not having football and all those things. Like, I think the Big East took a step forward this year. But, Tre, before we get a little farther down that road, I want to take a step back real quick and ask you one thing you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the coaching staff putting together a roster, right, and recruiting and balancing NIL and everything like that. Because now, in this day and age, you have players making significantly more money than other players on the roster. Does that ever become an issue in the locker room, or have you not seen that? You've played on multiple teams. You've played at a high level. Do you ever see that?
I didn't see it with this past year's team. That was never a problem. We never cared about, who's making what. We all love each other. You see us reposting all the time. Like, I'm happy Roddy's going to Seton Hall to do what he needs to do. I'm happy for All Right going to LMU to do what he's best at doing. A-Rob getting an opportunity at Pepperdine. Pop going to Kansas State. Isaiah coaching Pop at Kansas State, which is pretty freaking funny if you ask me. But I have been part of a team that NIL was kind of. You heard talks about it. I'm not gonna say which team it was, but you definitely knew who was making, like, other than, especially if it was like a team NIL thing and they get more money when you're doing the same thing, and it's kind of not fair and not kind of affecting it. But I think it really depends on who the group of guys are. You know what I mean? But this past year, no one had any problems with NIL. The only problem was we just couldn't play defense, honestly. But we loved each other on the court. We loved each other off the court. We always hanged out. I was the unk of the group, so I was always with my wife at home. But the guys always hanged out. We never had any locker room problems. Like, we all loved each other. We still have a group chat to this day. Like, we all love each other. I hope nothing for the best for all these guys. I hope they all thrive. I hope they all, become successful in whatever they want to do in basketball or outside of basketball. I hope whatever dreams they had, it comes true. Because outside of, the win-loss record, that was probably one of the closest teams I've ever been a part of. We were so close. We truly didn't care about the money. Truly didn't care about the fashion. We didn't care about none of that. We just cared about, hey, we're going to play basketball. It's another day. Like, we love each other. Like, let's just go out and compete. And that was truly it. Like, we had no problems with each other. Like, we all loved each other like brothers. And you can ask anybody else that.
What was it like for you, Tre, when the season ended? You get the call that you're going to play in the All-Star game. You go to the Final Four, and you're able to play in Lucas Oil and in the Final Four's court. And, obviously you had been a part of the Final Four team at FAU a few years ago, so you at least had experienced that environment. I know you didn't play in that game, but you at least had been there and kind of seen it before. But to be in that big environment, to have that opportunity, then to go to Portsmouth as well. I think that's a high honor for you. So congratulations on that. But also, what was that like for you? What did you learn from that? And were there things that you were talking about with the other players that were involved on, what the season was like, what their college experiences were like, and how you're going to progress forward?
I mean, really, the All-Star game, it was more just like, just go out and have fun. Wasn't really, I was there to have a good time. I thought it was a great experience for me, beating players from various universities, just, picking their brain a little bit, what they want to do, like how their season went, and then just playing in Lucas Oil Stadium. I thought that was pretty cool. I've never been to the Colts Stadium before. And I actually didn't know that was the Colts Stadium until I got there, and I was like, "Oh shoot, we're playing at the Colts Stadium." I was like,
Correct.
"Oh, this is cool." And just being on a Final Four court, and actually playing on it this time, it was a really cool experience. Because I've never done that before. Of course, I warmed up on it, but I never actually played on it. I watched the game from the bench, but still there. But no, it was a great experience. I definitely loved it. I was really grateful for the opportunity. I know some people like to pass up on it, but I like to experience new things. It was only like an hour and a half drive. It wasn't terrible at all. So it was like, yeah, why not just go experience this? It's pretty cool. Get some, Reese's gear. Why not? Like, this is a pretty cool experience. And then obviously going to Portsmouth, I got to see, I'm a big warship guy. I like studying United States history, like naval battles, warships. I love all that. So I got to see a couple battleships, aircraft carrier that was right next to our hotel. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool, and just go up against the top seniors was amazing environment. I don't really think I played my best, but I did what I needed to do. I think I did a great job guarding the ball and just staying ready and just keeping a positive outlook and trying to be a leader on the court, which I think I did pretty good at. And then obviously just going back to Xavier after all that, working out, saying goodbye to everyone, because I know it's going to be a while until I see everyone again. And now I'm here in Vegas, so it was definitely a great experience, definitely a great ride. And I cherish these moments every time I go to do something new. I cherish it all the time.
Sure. So a couple more questions before I let you go, Trey. First, looking forward now, a few of these workouts left, obviously trying to pursue a professional career in basketball and take that as long as it'll take you. Let me ask you this, though. When that ball does stop bouncing one day, you mentioned being a history buff, but what interests you? What do you think the future is like for you whenever the day comes? Hopefully it's a long time from now, but whenever that day is, Trey, what do you want to do?
I think I've never been into books, but I think I want to become an author. I think I want to write a bunch of fantasy like stories, like about knights and kingdoms, about like alien stuff, just some sci-fi stuff, like just some cool stuff. Cause I'm really good at telling stories. Like I told like when I was taking like this FSA, like the Florida Standard Assessment Test, and it was like a writing test, and it was like tell a story. It was like foreigner, so you had to tell a story, and I wrote like the best score you can get is 5. I got like a 4.8, and I wrote like a 3-page story, just like that. I made up something that quick. So I've always been a good storyteller. I've always been to create stories, but now that I have a little more free time, kind of like using ChatGPT to like help me create the images and what I want to write and what I want to like just to kind of see it, whether it be like superhero or knights or just like some anime stuff. I think I want to get into storytelling or become an actor one day. Whatever. Obviously, I'm not looking too far ahead because I'm still hooping, but those are some of the curiosity that I have in mind to become one day.
Sure. I mean, hey, author. I think if you asked, I don't know, 100 basketball players around the country what they wanted to do, an actor or an author probably isn't at the top of too many lists. I'll tell you that.
Probably not.
No, but that's great. That's great. So last question for you on my end, Trey. Just, now that, your Xavier career has come to an end, your college basketball career has come to an end, what was something that you took away from your whole career? Because this time of college basketball right now, and this is going to be an open-ended question for you. This time of college basketball right now is so fluid because fans get frustrated that, the roster turns over every year and they gotta learn a new roster and they gotta, learn all these news stories and all that. But I really think, your story, you think back to Quincy Oliveri a couple of years ago, it's very similar in the fact that you guys came to Xavier, and I'm using you as an example here. You could point at any other school around the Rebound Rundown that I cover here, at players that have really come in, spent 1 year at a school and embrace the culture, embrace the program, and love it, and continue to stick with it afterwards. I think you guys set a mold for what college basketball can still be. That, like, hey, maybe you're not going to be there for 4 years anymore, right? Like, you're probably not going to be somewhere from your freshman year to your senior year. Maybe you are, and maybe you're the exception to the rule, but you're still able as a fan to get to know a player in 1 year, to see what they can do to become a part of a community in 1 year. And you latched onto that. So what are you going to take away from this experience in college and the high that you left on being a part of your Xavier family?
I think just embracing the journey. I went to my career started at FAU. I thought I was going to start. I thought I was going to, be two and done. Obviously, what didn't happen, I spent my first 3 years on the bench. I redshirted my first year, and then second year was playing, but I wasn't playing. I was averaging like 3 minutes a game. Third year, still wasn't really playing, but when a guy got hurt, my number got called more. And then my fourth year, had a breakout year. Did prove why I proved to a lot of people I'm capable of playing at this high level. And I loved FAU. I love repping each school I've played for, including high school. I take everything. I take whoever I'm wearing, like on the front, whoever's name it, I take it for pride. I don't take it for granted. I wear it with pride because I'm repping the school, I'm repping university. So when, FAU heard I was coming back, everyone was ecstatic. Everyone was happy. I embraced everybody. I embraced the culture. I embraced, the long practices. I embrace, the rough nights where everything hurts. I embraced the long journey of, I'm not getting my shot today, but maybe tomorrow I will. And then I didn't want to leave FAU. I've said this plenty of times. I didn't want to leave because I embraced FAU. FAU is a part of me. And it's so hard leaving a place that you're so comfortable with and that you just want to stay where you are, not just for like basketball reasons, but that's just home.
Sure.
And I was like, I have to do what's best for me and my family to where I'm going to play at the next level, and that being the NBA. So I made the hard decision to I'm sorry, FAU, I got to leave. I don't want to, but I have to. And FAU fans supported me, fully supported my decision. I graduated from FAU. I'm an FAU alumni for life, had my degree from there. Everybody was so thankful for me for staying when everybody else that played left. I have fans for life down there. I have family for life down there. And then I come to Xavier. I embraced the culture. I embraced the hate for Cincinnati. I embraced the passion, the pridefulness of wearing the Xavier jersey, playing for the Musketeers. I know it's such a historical winning program. I embraced it all. I embraced, the crosstown shootout. I embraced playing at MSG in front of thousands of fans. I embraced playing at the Cintas Center, which is probably top 5 places to play at, in my opinion, at an arena for like a school arena. I embraced it all, and I know a lot of players are one and dones, and one and done now, meaning I play here 1 year and I go to another school. I embraced the school so much. I wish I had another year because I would come back. I would come back to Xavier. I wish I had another year. I wish I was a junior. I wish I was like 21 and I had another year. I wish I could come back because I love the fans. I love the city. I love the culture. I love everything about Xavier. And you could tell the last time I put on a Xavier jersey, and I was crying my heart out that I'll never be able to wear that jersey again because that's how much it means to me. I don't take it for granted. And the fact that I wasn't able to wear the Xavier jersey again after UConn beat us at MSG, it tore me apart. I literally broke down on live television. it sucked. Like it was a bittersweet ending. And coincidentally, each team I've been a part of, I've lost in either my favorite colors. My favorite colors are red, black, and blue. When I was at Charlotte in high school, my final game, I was wearing a blue jersey. At FAU, the final jersey I wore was red. At Xavier, the final jersey I wore was black. So it's just like a big coincidence that like each squad I played for, the final, jersey that I wore from happened to be all three of my favorite colors. And I know there's not a lot of players like me that take, the school that they're playing for with passion. I take it all. I take it all in because it could be taken away from me any day. And I truly take it all in. I have no regrets playing for Xavier, no regrets at all. I loved everything about the season. I loved it all. I loved the fans. I loved the support. You saw the support when I got hurt in the final game of senior night. It tore me apart that I couldn't play one last time in the Cintas Center, and I'm just so super thankful for the continued support through the Xavier fans and through the FAU fans. Now that I'm going my NBA journey, the support means everything to me, and I'm sending support 100% of the way back. I'm a Xavier Musketeer for life. I'm a FAU Owl for life, and I'm a Charlotte Tarpon for life. So I'm very proud for every jersey that I've worn, for every school that I've repped. I hope nothing for the best for all these teams, and I promise I will be back to watch many games.
Well, Tre, I appreciate you, man, coming on the show. I look forward to seeing you when you come back here to the Cincinnati area and catch a game. I'm wishing the best of luck for you and your career and whatever's to come here in the next few weeks. Summer League, whatever that is, whatever that looks like here coming up over the summer. I know there's a lot of professional aspirations that you have, and I hope that that all comes to fruition for you, Tre. So best of luck to you, and thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. This has been another episode of the Rebound Rundown. Again, part of the Crown Network now, rebranded, part of the Crown Network. And thanks to everybody for watching, listening. Make sure you subscribe on Apple, Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. Go down, hit that subscribe button if that's where you're watching this right now. There will be another episode of the Rebound Rundown next week. Stay tuned for that. Follow us on social media at Rebound Rundown. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next week.